Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Ah,
Yes, sir,
yeah.
we can hear you.
And the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's start because there was some technical issues. Now we have sorted out. I think our topic today is international affairs. Why engineers need to learn social sciences? Because engineering intended to benefit the society. How the international affairs are defined or expressed by, say, to understand what is international affairs, the factors and processes that affect the interaction among states and non-states actors across national boundaries. State and non-state actors, because there are 195 countries in the world. Also, there are non-state actors within states working in parallel with governments. So just start with human civilization. We have now come to this stage in the 21st century through about, say, 10,000 years of human civilization. We are called Homo sapiens, wise human. Homo sapien means wise human. But it is questionable because we are now, I don't know whether we are wise now. We are having all sorts of trouble in the world. How well we have lived up to this name, that's the question. Over the last 100,000 years, we sapiens have accumulated enormous power, discoveries, inventions, and conquests. Yet we are in an existential crisis or dilemma. Because of these discoveries, inventions, and craving, actually, because of the craving, we are in this dilemma. The reason is that we have misused our own power. Human civilization is still, I consider, as primitive, as we are fighting wars in the 21st century, exploiting natural resources, and engaging in unsustainable development. Unsustainable development means now we are confronted with global warming and enormous amount of natural calamities and climate change, natural disasters. Those are the results of unsustainable development. Instead of uniting to deal with existential crises, global powers are engaged in stockpiling doomsday weapons. Do you understand that sentence? Instead of uniting to deal with this existential crisis means the man-made disasters and crises. We are stockpiling doomsday weapons. Now we are using it. Economic crisis. We are not better off in the 21st century. I think 20th century we had some order, world order, but now it has failed. We are on the verge of ecological collapse due to the misuse of power. Power exploits and sustainability is threatened. Artificial intelligence has potential to escape our control and enslave or annihilate us. This slide is very important. You better learn very hard to know all that. Each statement gives a very wider, you can acquire wider knowledge on each statement. Now, countries with different governance structures. I have given in the legend, I don't want to read all that. These are the type of governance. Now, once I share the PowerPoint, you can go through and learn it. So there is a place, there is no government. That maybe Iraq, I think. Presidential republic, semi-presidential republic, parliamentary republic. So we are a semi-presidential republic. We have the parliament as well as parliament has the powers. So Sri Lanka is in a yellow group. Okay. Now you can read through this. The examples are given, the type of governance structures in the world. No, I'm not going to read everything in the slides because I'm also just recovering for some issues, health issues. I hope you can read. These are just some collection of the most populous nations on earth. 12 countries which are nearly over 200 million people. This is just to compare. Now we are discussing international affairs. So we need to know what happened in these 2 centuries, because these 2 centuries shaped the world now we are in. 20th century, we saw the list which I have put down, starting from 2 world wars, communism, fascism, Nazism, Holocaust, anti-Semitism, establishment of United Nations. That was one of the key global structure, global event that shaped the world in the 20th century. But when it comes to the 21st century, the strength of the UN has been drastically reduced due to non abiding states in the world. NATO, Warsaw Treaty, Cold War. The Cold War supremacy before 1991 or so was there was 2 superpowers before perestroika, where the Soviet Union was dismantled and given autonomy to the regional countries, the union countries. Man on the moon, Western talents, Middle East, Indo-China War, dissolution of Soviet Union, 1991, 14 breakaway states, Environment Summit. That was one of the key world summits where all the parties engaged in discussion how to face the challenges that are detrimental to health of the planet. 21st century, the climate challenge. Conference of parties, every year they meet at selected location to discuss how to combat climate change. Then global warming, CO2 emission, economic difficulties, Argentina, Greece, Sri Lanka, COVID-19, human rights, Ukraine-Russia war, China challenges USA, unresolved Middle East conflict, shifting of global supremacy, the other conflicts. Make America great again, Donald Trump, his tariff system can conflict Israel Iran-Israel war, failure of presidency, diplomacy. It is all related to Trump actually has negatively contributed to the world economy and world environment and world peace. These are the global political and security events in the 21st century. I hope you can go through. So Donald Trump's approach has caused major damage to the unity and world order. Now see, the current war, once it is started, you cannot stop it. That is going to damage now. Just imagine the carbon footprint of this war and also the contribution to the global warming. Critical issues affecting global harmony. Financial crisis in 2008, Eurozone debt crisis. You know that these countries almost bankrupt. Greece, Spain, and other EU nations tested EU unity. Now, actually, EU unity supported Greece to overcome the economic bankruptcy, but still Greece has not come out of that. That is an example. Rise of emerging economies. They are trying to organize to challenge American hegemony. The COVID-19 economic shock we all had its outcomes. So Trump's approach to global issues is affecting peace, trade, and social security in multiple ways. This is very important section. We all know that post World War II, world order established around 1945 to promote peace through international cooperation, multilateralism, and US-led liberal system has experienced significant has experienced significant success during the early years, but deteriorated in 21st century. So this period is called interregnum. Just check this word and try to make your note on this. What is interregnum? Rise of great power rivalry, geopolitical competition, China-US competition, then Russian aggression, atomic and nuclear power, development of nuclear weapons. These are the factors actually deteriorated the UN established world order, where there was a collaboration of all parties, but now it has deteriorated and its effectiveness has drastically reduced due to now when Trump came to power, he cut a lot of finances to UN system. Erosion of international institutions and rules. Continuation of that slide. Paralysis of UN Security Council. Now see, today, the Security Council is chaired by Trump's wife. Melania Trump. Can you imagine? So the veto power of permanent members frequently cause deadlocks, preventing effective action on crises like those in Ukraine, Syria, Yemen, and Iran. Unilateralism and nationalism. Now, nationalism, I think the middle of the 20th century, we saw multilateralism. Now we see unilateralism and nationalism. Most of the countries, Trump won the vote on nationalistic platform. Countries increase in prioritizing national interest over collective global solution. The law of the jungle. The UN officials have warned that the rule of law is being replaced by brute force, with more countries involving in external conflicts. You see how many countries are engaged in war with other nations now at the moment. Emergence of dictatorships and rogue states. Now, North Korea is called rogue state. Now, I'm not going to politicize anything, but if you can't say that in public, but within us, that is how the US called North Korea. In fact, North Korea, one man is living in heaven, the others are living in hell. That is what called rogue state. The term is generally the emergence of dictatorship and rogue state. The term is generally applied to states accused of being state sponsors of terrorism, pursuing weapons of mass destruction, and defying international norms. Now, a country like Iran, North Korea, they are engaged in pursuing weapons of mass destruction. Then Middle East conflict that is unresolved for centuries. There is another issue that I don't want to be labeling anybody, but here we have seen fundamentalism, extremism, and terrorism. Now, this is how now the Easter bombing of Sri Lanka would be related to. It has begun with fundamentalism, and extremism and terrorism. There are states like Iran; they support a lot of terrorist groups around the region. That is also a threat to the global peace. Then religious fanaticism. International affairs encompass a wide range of issues that impact global relations, economic stability, security, human rights, and trade wars, and arms race. Geopolitical tensions, climate change, global health, arms race. Next race is AI race. I think you can go through these slides. These two races, arms race and AI race, both may be considered as destructive forces. There is a thing called artificial intelligence and natural stupidity. Have you heard of that? So if you are using AI and if you are not intelligent enough, it's called artificial intelligence and natural stupidity. Most important thing that UN Charter is the most important thing where UN promotes HR, good governance, and sustainable development. So these three things, if continued, world will be a better place. Economic inequality, technology and cyber security, human rights. And you can go through the slides. A lot of information is provided. These are all need to be learned in order to answer the questions. The ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has persisted for two centuries, has been a significant barrier to global peace. Even the United Nations has failed to take decisive action. So you need to discuss what happened to the global order that was established by UN and how it failed, what factors affected the UN system to fail and come to this stage of global affairs, current state of global affairs. Continuing from there, the other issues are migration and displacement. Now you can see this migration due to these wars. Almost all countries have to carry this burden, and poverty will be a factor that will affect the whole world, because when there are just idling population without shelter, without food, then there will be major issues for the other countries. Now, no countries are working within the framework agreements by the countries of the world entered during the United Nations peace process. I'm not going to read this. UN system is working. The key UN agencies, United Nations has a wide array of specialized agencies, programs, funds that address various global issues from health and education to economic development and environmental protection. And the key UN agencies I will share the slide later. Key UN agencies are here, I have listed. You can go through and see the functions of each. Now, World Health Organization, which is based in Geneva, is looking after the global population and health. So that kind of specialized activities with consideration of expertise by these agencies can help countries and manage the knowledge to address national and international issues. I hope you must, I think, I want you to go through the 15 agencies and their functions. This is the UN Charter. I hope you can read it. If you haven't come across this, international relations are based on this. But now, international relations are based on war. Yeah, the actions. Union can take actions, but if all the powerful countries honor the treaties, the framework agreements, unfortunately, they are, especially the US is now not at all care about these framework agreements. So UN Charter is an instrument of international law. So if all the countries abide by this international law, there won't be wars in the world. The UN Charter codifies the major principles of international relations, from sovereign equality of state to the prohibition of the use of force in international relations. Now, for example, attacking another country completely prohibited by UN, and sanctions could be enforced on that country. But unfortunately, when US involves, UN is also become helpless. Yeah, this one, of course, you can go through and just memorize on the structure. Secretariat is in New York, US, headed by the Secretary General. So any country can go to the International Court of Justice if human right violation cases are there. They can go to the ICG. General Assembly is meeting to discuss critical affairs and deliberate on the situation. And the unfortunate thing is now UN has requested Iran to stop attacking the Arab nations, but it is not honored by Iran. So that is an example of UN's Iran's not don't care about the UN. Do you know the difference between human rights and the fundamental rights? Can you answer somebody? Yes or no? Are you hearing? Hello? Anybody there?
Yes, we can hear.
Yes. What did you say? Human rights and fundamental rights. Have you come across this before? Can you respond, please? Somebody? Hello? There are 34, 47. It's a big number. So at least one. Can you raise your hand and say, you have come across this before? Hello? Are you listening? So human rights are inherent universal rights entitled to every person by virtue of being human, often guaranteed through international law. Fundamental rights are rights guaranteed and protected by specific states, constitution or national law, making them legally enforceable within that jurisdiction. Human rights, the highest order is the right to live. You cannot kill people. Everybody has a right to live. And everybody should get enough food, enough water. Those are the three main human rights. Fundamental rights are education, gender equality, economic rights, and things like that. UN Charter adopted by 193 countries. Most of the countries amended their constitution to include human rights. That's why now, before 1945, we didn't have human rights. Even after 1972 Constitution, we included human rights. That's why those commissions are established and to protect human rights of the people. Now, do you know the difference between human rights and fundamental rights? The other global collaborative partnerships are G7 and G20 summits. I think these are annually they meet and discuss where to invest, where to help, and what global how to catalyze global economy and economic governance, international security and development. Global economic stability. And these countries are the most powerful countries in the world. And you must learn what are the G7 countries, G20 countries. I'm not going to list down. In 2025, G20 was held in Johannesburg, South Africa. You can see G20 summit in Johannesburg, South Africa was marked by a significant US boycott. Now see what Trump has done to the global values. What Trump has done to global values, led by President Trump, who cited false claims of white minority persecution in the country. Now see, what he says is he didn't want to go to South Africa because he cited false claims of white minority persecution in South Africa. Despite the absence of the US and some other nations, leaders adopted the 122 paragraph declaration focusing on inequality, sustainability, climate change, and debt sustainability. It was built in 2024. The overarching statement was building a just world and sustainable planet. Now you can see excuses that Trump has not to participate in global summits. I am not going to go through everything, but this is in 2025 G7 summit was held in India. Now there are trade agreements. International affairs are also marked by trade agreements. These are important for Sri Lanka. We have this APTA, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement, SAFTA. These are very important for our economy. The global system of tariff preference, GSTP. When we export, we have preferences than developed countries. So that kind of preferences actually advantage was disrupted by Trump by imposing tariff on our goods. When we export to US, our say garments, he imposed tariff on that. Then the retailer will sell that example, $20 shirt. Now Trump has imposed 20% or 25% tariff on us. So that will cost another $5, 25. Sometimes you may not be able to compete with other countries where a shirt might be $17. So that is how we are going to be affected due to this tariff system, tariff imposed by Trump. I think you can go through this. Now these are help. I mean, this generalized system of preferences help countries like Sri Lanka to have a boost in the economy. And at the same time, when these say countries who are in the organization, they impose certain conditions on Sri Lanka in order to receive this preferential tariff system. What they say is they want democracy, human rights, and fundamental rights. These rights, and sometimes they imposed a condition to repeal this Prevention of Terrorism Act. And also promote human rights and good governance. If there is no good governance, they don't give preferences on tariff. Please go through this, and now you can see commitments that we need to make in order to receive the GSP plus. Shall we take a break for 5 minutes? And I hope you will be back by 8:10. Sorry, 6:10. Agree? Hello? Shall we take a break for 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please come back. Don't rejoin after 8:10. Okay, thank you very much. Shall we start again? Are you there? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, we can hear.
Okay, thank you. I think it is very important to know global international summits. Mainly, last century, they started these summits to address. There are a large number of global summits for international community to meet and address global affairs. Now, see, one of the important summit was Paris, held in Paris, 2005, and they discuss why aid is not effective. Now, of course, in Sri Lanka, we received aid and developed the Mahavali program was mainly funded by aids. Some of them are loans, but even loans and grants are considered as aids. So aid effectiveness was discussed. Now, some countries they receive loans and grants, but objectives are not met. Outcomes are not realized, but by the donor. So they are not honoring the interest of the loan donor as well as the interest of the people. The Paris Agreement reaffirms that the developed countries should take the lead in providing financial assistance to countries that are less endowed and more vulnerable. Countries which are not less endowed means they don't have natural resources to become rich, have a strong economy. So they have to depend on grants and loans. While for the first time also encouraging voluntary contributions by other parties. Now we received in 2018, 19, we received a grant from EU, and I was also part of the project, and we could develop rural water supply in 4 districts: Nathale, Badul, and Orele, and Monaragal. So that is how they give grant. Actually, that money was spent through an international NGO because the EU know that if it is spent through the government system, the money won't be available when needed. But there are a lot of red tapes to be overcome. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. There are 38 countries. Main donors are World Bank, ADB, JICA, ADF, that is French Exim banks, and bilateral development banks. Islamic Development Bank, China Exim Bank, South Korea. So there are also an issue. The money was not available sometimes because of these tensions on global economic affairs between China and, for example, US cut all aids through USAID. Now there won't be any money given to any party by USAID again. It has been suspended. Suspended means abolished by Trump. USAID. The biggest global summit was held in Rio de Janeiro 1992. That was UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. It's an international environment treaty negotiated at United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, informally known as Earth Summit. That is something that all engineers should know. What is Earth Summit and what were the key agreements and focused areas by world community. So this is the basis for combating climate change, protecting environment, phase out fossil fuels, and all the other detrimental thing on planet health of the planet. The UNFCCC was negotiated as an international response to climate change, and currently the only international climate policy venue with broad legitimacy due in part to its virtually universal membership. Now, all countries are meeting once a year to review the situation with regards to global warming, and they have set targets. That is, the target is by 2050, the global temperature rise should be limited to 1.5 centigrade, 2 centigrade. Now, as at now, it is 1.5 or so. If you continue like this, there will be more than 2 degrees by 2050. Then the planet will not be a livable place. A lot of people will have issues. Now, you know, 1 degree of temperature rise in Colombo, how uncomfortable we feel. Combat desertification was signed in 1994 based on recommendation of Article 21. Article 21 is surely prepared and agreed at the Rio summit. Article 21 means how we face challenges in the 21st century. That you have to, right? Article 21 of the Rio Convention, which was held 1992. All parties who attended the conference agreed on Agenda 21. That Agenda 21 describes how we face the challenges in the 21st century, this century. Now, these are the Article 21 agreed at this conference. Please go through this. I'm not going to read out. It is now very clear. I think if I ask a question, you must be able to write down all these 14 by heart. That is important because this will help your career, help your, engineer. As an engineer, if you want to develop as a smart engineer, then you should know all these important things that shape the world. We all know that countries are, most of the countries consume, what do you call, they have consumption, per capita consumption of natural resources or per capita carbon footprint. Those are the indicators for healthy planet. What is sustainable development? Meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Guiding principles for long-term global development. There are three pillars of sustainable development: economic development, social development, and environmental protection. I think you need to learn these three pillars. Without economic development, you cannot protect the environment, because poverty is a factor that affects environment. Now see, we have a lot of poor people, they engage in China cultivation. What they do is slash and burn and cultivate crops. What they slash the trees and greenery, green cover. So it is equivalent to desertification, deforestation. Social development. Social development means social responsibility. Everybody learn social responsibility, and also social development means social security. That you have a good livelihood, good education, and good shelter. Now see how these three pillars are combined, and final outcome is in the middle of this union: sustainability. Social sphere is the environment, economy. Environment and economy, it has to be viable. Environment and social is bearable. Bearable means you should not destroy environment and spend a lot of money to restore. So that is bearable. That is what we call, we have a bearable expenditure, affordable, to restore environment. We are not destroying undue exploitation. So social and economic, everybody has equitable access to economic goods and economic rights. So that is how sustainability is developed. Sustainability is achieved, actually. For example, the motor car we are running with fuel, and it is a big leap in human civilization. But is it sustainable? As long as it is emitting greenhouse gases, it is not going to fall into the sustainable category. These are the global goals agreed by 190 countries to be achieved by 2030. Goals, global goals. For example, 1 to 6. 1 to 6 are right-based: end poverty, end hunger, health, well-being, education for all, achieve gender equality, water and sanitation. Those are right-based. Then 7 to 12 are economic goals. 13 to 17 are planet, health of the planet. Actually, I have couldn't type the headings of these three categories of goals. We'll be covering this again in the next lecture. We will learn this also, mostly the first 1 to 6 learn by heart. Then even those electrical engineers, the energy part has to be learned. And for environmental engineers, climate change, ocean life underwater, biodiversity. So this is a concept that I learned 30 years ago. These are actually, if you prepare a development project based on these lines, that will contribute to sustainable development. Technical sustainability, balanced demand and supply, no exploitation. For example, now you develop a hydropower project by harnessing all water resources. Then there won't be any water to other people. Financial sustainability, where you invest money and see that it is affordable for the population, stability of demand, willingness to pay. Social sustainability, cost recovery or cost sharing application of user pay and polluter pay concepts. The wastewater treatment plant has to be this economic sustainability. Now, financial and economic, what is the difference? Financial means the funds that are used to develop a project. Economic means outcome of the project in terms of economic returns. Institutional sustainability. Capacity to plan, maintain, and operate the system. Now we are actually lacking this institutional sustainability at the moment because of degradation of, after Ditwa cyclone, restoration work is actually very slow. I don't know where the engineers, they are not engaged in rebuilding. I have to ask that question from the institution, I think. Environmental sustainability, no long-term negative or irreversible effects on the environment. Now, action by world body. On the on the 21st century lifestyle, this is also very critical because UNESCO recommends a ban on cell phones in school. Phones are distraction, enable bullying and hinder social development. Several countries have already banned phones in schools. Restriction of outdoor play affects child development. Now, our generation, when we were small, we never had any of these things, no devices. I had only a cricket bat and a ball. So we always spend our time outdoor after school with the friends. Several countries have already banned phones. Restriction of outdoor play affects child development. Now you can see obesity among children, then eyesight deterioration, stress, anxiety, and depression, increased risk of mental health problems. Use of AI will affect cognitive development. What is cognitive development? Now, we can always go to the supermarket and add the bill by heart. Just add the bill, but that is cognitive capacity. Creative intelligence. There are three kinds of intelligence. I think you have to learn that. You learn what are these things, because I don't want to explain. Creative intelligence, analytical intelligence, practical intelligence. All people fall into these kind of, now say, creative intelligence. Somebody who has creative intelligence, he can, now an architect, he has creative intelligence. A researcher, he has analytical intelligence. A builder or manufacturer, practical intelligence. Over-reliance of AI will lead to lack of critical thinking and creativity. Now you just can't copy it, just write something and, but always remember there are a lot of misinformation in AI. Then few IT persons will use the brain and others use the device. There will be few people use the brain, then they produce the information and data. Then you use the device. You got the point? Hello. Are you there? Did you get the point? What I said? Hello. I think, are there listeners? Hello, participants. Can you please say something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please respond. Otherwise, I am just talking to
We are
some
listening.
screen and
Yeah,
I don't.
we are listening.
So you agree with me? So positive effects and negative effects. I hope you can go through. Technology advances education. It boosts business. It increases income generation. Increases connectivity with friends, family, etc. Increasing challenges in artificial intelligence. Children are more advanced. IT increases the capital market. Technology consumes less time to complete any task. Negative effects. Lack of attention, psychological effects, health issues, e-thrombosis. Electronic thrombosis means when you sit for a long time, the blood clots can happen in anywhere in the body due to computers and cell phones. Eye fatigue, migraines, sleep disturbances. If you use a device until you go to bed, then you won't be able to sleep, have a quick sleep. Backaches and poor personal hygiene, imbalance in the workforce. Poor personal hygiene means that you don't take a wash, you just, after work, you start eating the phone. Now, the important last slide, that it is my message to all of you. This is message I developed. Engineers play key role in shaping our future. They design and build the infrastructure and system that support our communities and economies. As technology continues to evolve, engineers are at the forefront of innovation, developing new and improved solutions to the challenges we face. So engineers have to learn almost all the subjects to be a smart engineer. Approach of engineer 5 decades ago was authoritative and focused only on the development of infrastructure. Overlooked many aspects related to sustainability, social and environment. You can analyze that For example, in the 60s, engineer goes with machinery, clear the land, develop something. You don't listen to the neighborhood, affected parties, or displaced people. But now you can't do that because there are social safeguards and environmental safeguards. Can you note down that? Social and environmental safeguards. Write down and learn it. Expand your knowledge. Main reason was development banks promoted large projects. World Bank funded 550 large dams. That was 50s, 60s, 70s. But World Bank also faced challenges due to displaced people going to international courts and protesting their functions. And they established a World Commission on Dams that investigated how there is large dam projects have created animosity among people. Now, I actually was fortunate to attend the Commission on Dams held its session here in BMICH in 2003. I was in the hall. Many projects have failed to produce outcomes built on into the design. You design something, but finally you don't get the outcomes. To be an effective engineer in the society, a broad outlook is required in terms of latest development in technology, social and environmental aspects. These are very important. Because somebody asked a question, a layman know otherwise, you should be able to answer anything related to the project as well as the environment, as well as the social safeguards, environment safeguards, and what are incorporated into projects, how you resolve conflict resolution, what are the approaches, grievance redress, conflict resolution. Those two things are very important. Grievance redress, conflict resolution. Please note down that. To be a good engineer. Promotion and protection of human rights and social environment safeguards. Change the role of engineer. Consider beneficiaries and affected parties equally. This is how the engineer's role changed in the 21st century. Now we'll have to safeguard human rights, social and environment safeguards before we embarked on any development. That is why EIA and other mechanisms are there. The engineer need to be good communicator to convince the beneficiaries and affected parties to minimize side effects. And that is a very good overarching statement. You have to by heart learn it. The engineer need to be a good communicator to convince the beneficiaries and affected parties. There are two parties always associated with the development. One beneficiary, affected party. Both parties should be listened to. Minimize side effects of major development projects and incorporate mitigation measures. Mitigation and restore affected parties for smooth operation to reap maximum benefits of investment. Takeaway. When you read through, BSc engineering means it's a gateway to universal knowledge. I hope you understand that statement. You understand? Do you? The engineers required to expand their knowledge throughout their career to be a smart engineer, regardless of their area of specialty. Electrical, electronics, mechanical, civil, environment, whatever. You have to be a smart engineer. Last paragraph is very important. Then, and also, you are not stopping your learning, what do you call, process. By after getting the charter, you need to learn a lot. So you have to have this knack for acquisition of knowledge. Now, even now, I have retired not retired actually. Still, I am learning. I passed out in 1975. Still, I am learning. So my email is also there. Thank you very much, and I want you to ask questions if there are questions, please.
Sir, how to construct the answer? What would be like properly construct the answer for the question under this topic?
Yeah, let's say now I'll be developing the question. Then can you say that again, please? Properly?
The way that we need to structure the answer, maybe any guidelines for that?
Yeah, no, the question, I will be giving you some hints in the question, right? Certain terminology will be used in the question. For example, what happened to the world order that was established by UN in 1945? And what were the obstacles faced by the global community in the 21st century? That kind of question you must be able to answer with the help of this lecture.
So,
You got the point?
right, got the point, sir. How about like I know that while doing the lecture, you told that on some slides these are the things that you need to by heart remember. So, like other than that, any specific area that we need to concentrate on?
Yes, human rights, then fundamental rights, and key challenges that we faced in establishing global peace, something like that. So those are international affairs. For example, UN Security Council is ineffective because Trump appointed Melania Trump as the chairperson. Can you imagine? Melania Trump has no background to handle the UN Security Council. You study the UN Security Council structure, what they are discussing and what demands they made on Iran and things like that. Actually, this is my third year of lecturing. I was not happy with the way other batches answered because their language was so poor, grammar, and also understanding the question. I hope to see better, improved answers this time. Any other questions?
So, for example, on the slide that you mentioned, there are 14 points.
Yes, 14 points.
Yes, on a previous slide. So we need to by heart all 14 or
No, I don't want to ask such questions, but at least you must say what are those important Agenda 21? What is Agenda 21? What are the objectives and things like that?
in a high level manner, right?
Yeah. Few important points you can highlight.
Okay, not expecting a very comprehensive like by hearting the slides, right?
No. Yeah, possible is good, but now you also have 2 questions to be answered. 25 minutes. Altogether, in 3 hours, you have to answer 4 questions. Each one has 45 minutes. No? Am I correct?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So 45 minutes, if you are fluent in language and also knowledge, you can at least write 1 full page of A4 size. I'm giving you good hints.
Yeah, for the essay type questions, you are expecting
type.
at least
All my things
least,
are essay type. All
Right.
my questions are essay type. Essay
Right.
means now we are trying to develop your skills, not designs, but help your outlook. Say your outlook in the society. You got the point?
Yeah, got the point. So you are expecting minimum one page.
No,
for this.
don't go by that.
Yeah.
If you can,
The thing is that, but some lecturers in a different lecture told us that he's not expecting a large content, but in a talk to the point, that kind of
yeah,
message
talk
we
to
have
the
given.
point, but you have the knowledge to put all the points. Now
Okay,
you
got it.
are relevant things have to be written. Relevant. I'm not lazy to read all the answers. Sorry. I hope you are okay with the lecture. Is
Yes,
it
sir. This is okay.
interesting?
Yes, good, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for listening. I think this is.
Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck
Thank
for
you,
your
sir.
exam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, then see you next week on the environment, global environment.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thanks. Thanks.
And